Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Katie. This is Self Love Ignited. And today's episode is episode 2 of my business chats with Ange. Now, Ange is my friend. She is my mentor. She is my client. And this is something that we are doing every few weeks. So you may or may not have seen that a few weeks ago, we did an episode on body image and business. And today we talked about the energy of visibility in business. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you have an online business and body image, self love, being visible is a challenge for you or it's front of mind for you, this is going to be a great episode. We talk about both of our stories with visibility, with the energy of visibility, and also give you a few really great tips, some really good starting points so that you can start doing this work. Here it is.
My name is Katie Allen, and this is Self Love Ignited. Let's get to it.
Welcome everyone to a new episode with Katie Allen and myself, Ange. This is a joint podcast on all things business. Last time we talked about body image because it's a very, very important part of our visibility. And today we're going to talk about another side of visibility, which is the energy of visibility. So welcome, Katie. Super excited to have you again for this second special episode of our Biz Chat. Do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me back, first of all. I was looking forward to this. I'm really happy that we're here doing these chats because, you and I off camera, we talk about this stuff all the time. But I think it's a really important thing to sort of bring to others. So when we were sitting down to figure out the topic of today, right, there's a few different ones that we sort of were playing with. And we decided we wanted to talk about visibility and then very specifically the energy of visibility, because if we backtrack, if we go to the last episode, we talked about body image in business, right? And how feeling not great in your body will impact how you show up in your business, will impact how your audience sees you. And I feel like the energy of visibility is directly tied to that. So I would just like to sort of outline, if somebody's like, what do you mean by the energy of visibility? I guess that's an important thing just to note. Essentially, being visible isn't just posting a selfie and showing up and cringing as you do it and having feeling really awful and blah in your body. It's feeling good about being visible. It's upping your vibration and feeling great. Maybe not great, but okay, at least, about putting yourself out there as the face of your business.
Yeah.
And
I think that's really important.
You've had a lot of experiences with this, haven't you?
Oh, wow. I've come a long way.
Yes, you have.
I have come a really long way. I remember joining the online space in 2005 because that's when I had to take my business from an in-person business to online. Because at that time we decided to homeschool our youngest 2 children, and the homeschooling lasted for 7 years. And so suddenly I had to be in front of a camera, which is something that I absolutely hate. The idea of seeing myself on screen like I do now, as I talk to you, was totally freaking me out because I abhorred myself for some reason. And we're not going to go into the details of it, but I know this is quite a common experience. I would say especially amongst women, but I think that men sadly have had a bit of that energy, filter into their own worlds as well. Because we put too much emphasis on how we look rather than who we are. And I mean, true, first impressions are important. We make in a split second, we decide whether we like someone or not. But what people don't realize is that the energetic part of it is as important as what we see. Because, and that's one example that I remembered from even being a teen. Very young, I observed people and I realized that, for example, women who were attractive weren't necessarily the prettiest. They were the ones who had the most beautiful energy. And back then I didn't speak about energy at all. But that energy came from, one, confidence, and second, something that you can't actually measure, but that I know now to be your own energy field.
Yeah.
So as you were rightly saying earlier on, if you show up even with a selfie, now what people don't understand is that we all perceive energy, whether we know we do it or not.
Yep.
So because it's something that's there on an instinctive level to protect you, to make sure that you connect to people who are safe and who are on the same wavelength as you are, which is why we have instant likes and dislikes. It's not just the way people look, it's their energy as well. So if we show up with an energy of, I need to be here, but I don't really want to be here, people will know. They might not know that this is what is happening, but they will know that something is off. And because they know something is off, they'll walk right past, or they'll scroll right past your post. And that is a shame. I want people to understand that there needs to be a little bit of work in the background around your energy of showing up if you want to make sure that people actually see your post. And this has nothing to do with the algorithm. Actually, energy beats the algorithm every single time.
Yeah.
So what has been your own first-hand experience with this? And after that, I'd like to share an anecdote that really baffled me when I thought I was being visible, and actually very clearly I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of us in the space who are like aware of our energy and our body image and visibility, I think most of us have experienced this in some way. And like, I mean, I have definitely many times, especially I started my business in 2017, which was sort of right at the beginning of my own sort of self-love body image journey. And I didn't have much self-awareness then still. And I mean, I just remember doing videos and posting things and, you know, trying to be visible. Like I understood about like the actual act of visibility, putting yourself out there. I learned that right at the beginning of my business, but nobody ever talked about the energy of it. Right. So I definitely would like put out photos and put out videos and then have like nobody watch them. Or I would go back later. I can't tell you how many times, I haven't done it in years, but at the beginning I would post something and then a couple of days later go back and delete it and be like, oh, I can't believe I put that up. Right. And so the fact is that the entire time that photo was up, that my like cringy energy, like that tightness was around it. So of course people were not being attracted to it. And, you know, I think one thing that's really important to note is what you said before, which is like, people are going to feel it. They're going to feel that something is off. They might not know what, they might not be able to like pinpoint it or label it. It's a feeling, right? It's energy. It's a feeling. It's not a logical thing, but it ties very much into like the no like trust factor, which, you know, people talk about in business all the time, which essentially is, right, like people are more likely to buy from you if they know who you are, if they like you and what you have to offer, and they trust that you're going to actually help them solve their problem, and they trust that you are who you are. And if your energy is off, they're not going to trust you. Like that's just my experience, but I've talked to so many people about this time and time and time again. It's like they're not going to know why. They're not going to know why, but they're just going to be like, something's off with this person. Something's off. And it's repelling, right? It really
Yeah,
is.
and we even started before this video because yesterday I was feeling pretty down, and I knew I had to come, you know, onto a live stream, and I knew I had to do something about my energy before coming live. And you helped me by reminding me just go for a walk in nature. And so I went down my garden, down my road, and talked to the trees. I don't hear them back, but I still talk to them. And asked them to help me to lift my energy because I felt really, really down. And I think this enabled me to show up, maybe not at my bouncier or bounciest, but much bouncier than I started with. So I want to give that tip to people. If you know that you have to come live and you're not feeling in your best space, don't necessarily avoid doing it, but there's some things that you can do to boost your energy. Usually what I do is dance to a really groovy tune, which is why in my free community on Facebook, I'm going to plug the name of it, and we can talk about your community as well. Obviously, it's the Intuitive Revolution for Ambitious Entrepreneurs with Ange. And in there, I post on a regular basis. I haven't posted much this week, but last week, all week, I post a dancing track almost every day. And there's actually a guide in it with all the dancing tracks. I think we're up to about 80 tracks. And it's really important because just by doing a little boogie for 5-10 minutes, or even 3 minutes before you come live, can completely shift your energy and make you feel, it's about that magnetism, right? Even people who don't talk about energy know about magnetism, don't they?
Yep, absolutely. And I love that that's one of yours. Those are two of my things as well: going for a walk, getting out into nature. I also talk to the trees. I also don't hear them back. And dancing. Those are definitely two of my big things. But I would say, right, like for anybody who's listening, who's like, if you're in a funk and you are going to go live, you have to go live, or maybe you're like pushing yourself to get out of your comfort zone, and like it's going to feel uncomfortable no matter what, but like you really want to do it. Move your body in some way, because it's all energy. And when you move your body in some way that feels good, you're moving the energy through your body. And if you sit still ahead of time and you're all up in your head about it, and you're worrying about it, or you're obsessing about it, all that energy is just stuck in your body, and that's going to come through as well. Right? So like physically move the energy in your body in whatever way feels good to you. Yoga, stretching, go for a walk, run, swim, dance,
or do star jumps.
Punch a pillow. Like, it doesn't matter.
No, it's
move.
a really good tip. And in fact, I think everybody should do that before going live or before even taking a selfie. Because what people don't understand is that the energy you capture, not just the picture, you capture the energy that you had at the time.
Yeah.
In that image. Technology can do that. And so, you want to give it your best shot. And, I would say, even if you don't feel your best that day, be honest then. Just say to people, I'm not at my best today. I wanted to show up anyway because it's important for me to do the things that I said I would do. But honestly, I'm having a rough day. And people will love you for that as well, because then they don't have this dissonance or this lack of impact or lack of congruence between how you show up and what they feel. Yeah.
Well, and that's true visibility, isn't it? Like, visibility isn't just showing up at your best and your shiniest when it's easy. Visibility is showing up, period. And it doesn't mean that it's easy. Like, I think there's this like idea in online business that a lot of people have, which is like you should only show up at your best, at your brightest, at your shiniest, only on a good day, or like only share the good stuff. And I think that actually leads to disconnect. I think, at least it's been my experience. People want the whole thing within reason.
Yeah. And I think for me, it was very hard to do that when I was a lawyer, because it's a profession where you're not supposed to show any weakness, and you're not supposed to show anything personal. You're here for your brain and for your experience and your knowledge and your skills, not as a human being. Whereas I believe as an entrepreneur or as a service provider, on some level, the kind of service I provide require me to be completely transparent. And actually, I have had to cancel sessions with clients because I didn't feel well enough to do them. As a lawyer, I would have just pushed through. But because of the nature of what I do, I think I owe it to my clients to show up when I know I can be 100% there for them. So in a way, I think that's important to say that as well. And the right people will understand.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And then sometimes we're in denial. And I wanted to share that anecdote because
please.
It completely buffed me. And when I mentioned earlier that technology captures energy as well, people might not understand that until I share what I share. And I'll probably put a link under the video in the show notes, but also for the podcast, because this is going to be both on YouTube and on my podcast and on your podcast, and maybe on your YouTube, I don't know. Literally, I did a live stream with a woman who interviewed me in her group. I don't know how long the live stream was. It was about my story, and I could see myself on the picture once we were doing the live stream, and on the replay, I disappeared. Like only my voice came through, and she looked like she was speaking to herself or speaking to a spirit. It was just crazy. But it showed me that I could show up, but actually hide myself at the same time. Yeah. So I think that's why, and I know you do that work as well, but that's why you need to work on the energetics just as much as on actually showing up, because you can show up and have what I call this was my invisibility cloak, like, welcome Harry Potter, hello. And some people who actually, if they go to party, nobody speaks to them, who really walks past them as if they weren't there. Yeah. That's their own invisibility cloak working energetically, yes, because they've decided they don't want people to see them. And they might not have decided this consciously. This is the thing. Because consciously, I was completely showing up, but unconsciously, there was something at play that made me not appear on that video. Yeah. And I guess I want to invite our listeners to go and watch that video so that they can see that this stuff happens, and it might not be as as obvious on what they do as me disappearing from the screen, but it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think too, I really just want to invite everybody to consider how they've been showing up and the energy that they've been bringing so far, right? And like, if it feels good to you, I mean, like, the at the end of the day, if it feels good to you, other people are going to feel that. If it feels really hard or really sticky or really awful for you, other people are going to feel that. So I feel like this has less to do with worrying. I mean, in a lot of ways, it has less, sort of like everything in life, when I think about it, it has less to do with worrying about what other people are thinking and how other people are perceiving you and how you're perceiving yourself. Because when you tune in and you focus on how you are feeling, other people will it shifts how they see you instantly. Right? When it sort of starts from within.
Yeah, and I wanted to add something for people who maybe have never done a live stream or have never posted a selfie, because that was me 7 years ago. Literally, in the group that we met actually in, there's a selfie day. It's called About Me now, but it was selfie day for Saturdays. And the first time I posted a picture of Kermit, because I just couldn't face posting a picture of myself, and that had quite a lot of traction actually, and people remember me from those days and saw how much things have evolved. So just because I'm comfortable today on camera and being filmed even or videoed doesn't mean that it wasn't a long journey. So if you're at the start of that journey, just do it. Don't worry about anything. It will get better and better and better. And of course, probably nobody will see you on your first live stream. And that's probably better, because then that kind of relaxes you. And for me, probably the first 10 live streams, nobody really paid attention, but that enabled me to get my, video legs on.
Totally.
Yeah. Or you can do it. I mean, in my group, that's something that I did on a regular basis, encouraging people to get on video, answer a few questions. And actually, I might do that soon as a sort of, little fun challenge in the group, because I love to be there for people the way that someone was there for me to help me get started with that visibility journey, which was super difficult. And very often, the other thing that people find difficult is when their Facebook, I mean, we're talking Facebook here because that's the main platform I'm on, but it could apply to other platforms. If they are connected to family members or friends or people that they feel don't feel very comfortable sharing about their businesses, maybe because it's brand new or maybe because they have insecurities, then, what I did ultimately is I actually disconnected from everybody family-wise and friends-wise, and I use Facebook exclusively for business. Now, I don't know if that's going to work for everyone, but you need to find ways that you work these kinks out in the background so that you can show up unapologetically, really.
Yeah. And show up. I think what it comes down to, like, just to sort of add on to what you've just said, which I completely agree with, it's about creating a safe space for yourself. A safe space for yourself to experiment and to grow, right? And that's going to look different for everybody. I know for certain people, especially if you have, right, friends and family on Facebook and you don't want them to see you, go into like an entrepreneur group that's a closed group where you don't have friends and family, such as your group, right, where coming on and being live or posting a photo of yourself or whatever is encouraged and invited. Practice in those kind of spaces, right? Practice in a small space where it's a closed space, and other people are going to cheer you on. You know what, the world of entrepreneurship, it's pretty awesome. We're all cheering each other on. So find those spaces that you feel safest in. Like, we don't need to rip the band-aid off and do the scariest thing first. We can start in small spaces, and then as you get comfortable, you can grow and learn and change, and then you can redefine what feels safe for you. But really, like, take care of yourself, right? Create a safe space.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned groups, because that's the first step, that's the safest to start in, especially if they're private. But most groups are private, the ones that I know, unless that, I think the public groups are usually huge and they're much more general. They're not usually entrepreneurial ones.
Yep.
So you're right, finding the right community to start practicing in, and knowing that, we're probably not very objective on how we come across and what we do. We're probably doing a better job than we think we are to start with. And even if we aren't, everybody understands the need to start somewhere.
Yep.
And I think for me, what helps me, I wanted to talk about one more thing before we finish this episode. So I don't know if you have more things to talk about. I don't want them to be too long, but the subject of trolls, because I think that's the thing that blocks most people's visibility. Okay.
Yes, let's talk about this. I like this. I have a good story about this.
Oh, excellent. So I used to be petrified by trolls because, of course, when you watch other people being visible, especially the people who have huge visibility, who become almost like influencer, you see a lot of nasty comments on their posts and you're like, oh my God, I don't want any of that. And I know that stopped me for the longest of time.
Yeah.
So share your story about trolls with us. Go on.
Oh, my story is really just, I was in the same place. I was terrified of, so I am a recovering people pleaser, and I avoid conflict at all costs. I have a lot of self-awareness. I know these things about myself. I'm working on them. But so as somebody, I know you too. So as somebody who doesn't want conflict and doesn't want to disappoint anybody or make anybody sort of feel off, putting yourself out there is a really scary thing. And you know what? I work with body image, right? Like, so there is a lot of me posting photos of myself and my body and sharing my own experience. And I was terrified for the longest time of being judged. And at a certain point, and it was after I'd started being visible in safe spaces, and it was after I'd started creating a bit of a like online support system with other people in business, other women in business. At a certain point, I just went, you know what? Let's just see what happens. And I just started being a little bit more free and a little bit more open. And I got a couple of nasty comments. But because I had been practicing and because I'd been working on myself at the same time, and because I'd built up this amazing support system, what I found is that they actually didn't even really hit me. Like I was accused of being, promoting obesity and helping people be unhealthy and promoting diabetes. And I don't know, it was some BS. It doesn't even matter what it was, but I celebrated that comment. I got that. I didn't respond to it. I don't think. It was a long time ago. But I celebrated it. I went into the groups where I was active and I was like, guys, guess what? I got my first troll. And I took a screenshot and I blocked out the person's name and I shared, and I was like, look at this. And everybody was like, oh, it's finally happened. You've made it. And so instead of it being a horrible attack on myself, again, because I'd slowly built up to this point, I was like, I've made it. I have enough visibility that somebody noticed what I was doing. If that one nasty person noticed, then how many positive people have I impacted?
Yeah, and I think I want to sum up this up in two ways. First is that there is a truth in the fact that the first person who disagrees with you shows that you're no longer vanilla. And there's nothing wrong with vanilla if you like vanilla, but we need to be authentically ourselves. And the only way to be authentically ourselves is to piss off some people, right? You can't do that by being nice and trying to please everyone. So there's this conundrum that we have to crack the nut. And I can completely relate with you because I'm the peacemaker. I want everyone to be happy. I never want to make any ripples. But at some point, you have to stand up for what you believe. And that's when someone's going to disagree with you. It's completely natural.
Yep.
But I want to add a second piece to that is that if you set your intention that whoever is going to disagree with you or whoever is going to hate on you, and you don't have to accept, it doesn't have to be that strong. Why don't we set the intent that it's going to happen in a way when you're ready and however you're ready and exactly in the perfect way for you, that it's not going to knock you off your confidence, and it's just going to be part of the process, and it's going to be easy to process, because that's exactly what happened with me. In the 7 years that I've become visible, I've only had 2, maximum 3 uncomfortable comments from people, but it's never been super hostile or hateful. And at the same time, I felt ready in myself. And when I saw the post, I was like, oh, it's just someone who disagrees. Of course, someone can disagree with me. What's wrong with people disagreeing with me? Nothing. So maybe at the core of visibility is making peace with the fact that you don't have to agree with everyone, and everyone doesn't have to agree with you, right? The right people, the people who are right to work for you will agree with you, and that's all that matters.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I love it.
Once you make peace with that, so maybe at the core, maybe that's the next, I don't know if it's going to be the next episode, but talking about wanting everybody to like you and how toxic is that?
Oh, that's a big topic. Yeah, that's a big
Yeah?
topic.
Let's write it.
Okay.
Everyone to like you.
Yeah.
And how that's a killer in business.
It is. And I would say too, like, just to leave, because I know we're getting ready to wrap up, is like, again, I know I'm a bit of a broken record, but I talk about this all the time. It all comes back to you, right? It all comes back to you and your perception of yourself. And if you're scared, we can talk about this more next time, but if you are scared of other people judging you, it's because you're still judging yourself. And when we stop judging ourselves, the judgments of others do not hold the same weight. Yeah.
And also to understand, maybe to wrap this up, that you always have fears, because at every level, when you reach the next level, different stuff is going to come up. So the mindset stuff is never finished. It's an ongoing. It's like brushing your teeth. It has to happen every day.
It does. I've done a whole bunch of it today. Yeah, it happens every day. It's part of the journey.
Oh, well, you know what, Katie, this has been a wonderful conversation. I want to thank you for this chat. It always lights me up to talk to you, and I hope that our listeners will have enjoyed it as well, and that it's been helpful. And to reach out to both of us on our separate pages or communities. So can you remind our listeners where they can find you, and then I will do the same.
Yep. So the best place to find me, where I'm most active, is Instagram, and I'm just Katie Allen Coaching over on Instagram. I do a lot of reels. I do like little EFT sessions, and all of the episodes of my podcast, Self-Love Ignited, are shared there as well. I am active on Facebook as well, also at Katie Allen Coaching, but Instagram is my main platform at the moment.
All right. Well, I'm mostly on Facebook. My profile is Ange de Lumière, ANGEDELUMIERE, because it's French, so it might be difficult for people to find it. I'm also have a community, which I've mentioned earlier, and I've just started being on Pinterest, and I think I'm Ange de Lume, L-U-M, all in one word. And the reason I went on Pinterest is because it's a really powerful way to promote podcasts and long-term content and blogs. And I started writing a couple of blogs recently. But also, I am likely to launch my business Oracle deck soon, and I thought that was a very good place to find me. And I find it's probably easier for people to find you than on Facebook, for example, or IG, where it's super saturated.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if you would find me there. Give me a bit of love. It's brand new. I think I only have you as a follower, maybe 2 followers. But that's not going to stop me.
No. We have to start. We have to start somewhere. Yep.
Thank you, everyone, and speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.